Hi, my name is Sokolowski. I'm a nutritional therapist and a functional medicine practitioner. This is the second of what will now be a four-part series on the fallacy of the low-fat and low-saturated fat diet. In the previous video, I spoke about how the low-fat and low-saturated fat diet was promoted despite any evidence as to its efficacy in its intended aims of reducing heart disease risk or for weight loss. I also outlined some of the mechanisms that are likely to be behind the huge increase in obesity in the USA, despite, or perhaps rather in fact because of, the reduction in fat intake, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of total caloric intake. In this video I will talk about essential fatty acids and conditionally essential fatty acids and outline more benefits of lipids for the health of your body and brain. So why might we need lipids other than as an energy reserve? Adipose tissue or fat tissue acts as a cushion to protect your organs from trauma. It also helps to regulate body temperature and acts as a waterproof barrier for your skin. But this adipose tissue can be made from carbohydrate in your diet. But in order to relieve you of some of your fear of fat, I'll be talking about not just the importance of fat in the body, but the importance of dietary intake of lipids and of fatty foods that also contain essential micronutrients. Essential fatty acids are polyunsaturated fatty acids that are so named because their dietary intake is essential for your good health, and they cannot be made from carbohydrates or from other nutrients. However, the longer chain, what are called conditionally essential fatty acids like DHA and EPA from oily fish, I regard as actually more essential to health than the essential fatty acids like alpha-linolenic acid from flaxseed, from which you can make a tiny amount of DHA and EPA. These conditionally essential fatty acids are made in meagre amounts from the shorter chain essential fatty acids like alpha-linolenic acid from flaxseed and can be obtained directly from the diet, so I would argue that they are actually more essential to consume than the essential fatty acids. In this post I will use the acronym EFA to include not just essential fatty acids but also the longer chain conditionally essential fatty acids, which I actually regard as more important. So EFAs are vital for balancing blood lipids and thus for cardiovascular health and also for vision and nervous system development. EFAs also form eicosanoids, which have roles in cell growth and fertility, in regulating smooth muscle contraction and blood clot formation, as well as both pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory immune system responses. EFAs also help to maintain gut wall integrity, i.e. to prevent leaky gut, and hence the EFAs in breast milk help to seal babies' developing gut wall to prevent infection and allergy. Omega-3 EFAs from oily fish reduce platelet aggregation, that is part of the process of blood clotting, and thus reduce heart disease risk. One of these oily fish omega-3 EFAs is DHA, from which you make protectins and resolvins, which turn off inflammation once it has completed its purpose. Now, your cell membranes are actually quite fluid, and the EFAs are essential for this fluidity, which allows for effective communication between cells, especially in the brain, and this may be why DHA is vital for every stage of brain development and accumulates in areas of the brain associated with learning and memory. DHA is also neuroprotective, reduces neuroinflammation, and is reduced in the brains of patients with Alzheimer's disease. It's likely that our brains evolved the way they did because of the dietary availability of omega-3 EFAs from oily fish and seafood, giving us distinct survival advantages such as the ability to make tools, the beginning of technology itself. Another clue as to the importance of fat for neurological health is that your brain is 60% fat by dry weight. Fat is a vital component of myelin sheath, which insulates the neurons, allowing them to conduct impulses efficiently and quickly. The cholesterol that comes with fatty animal products can also play a role in the brain, although you can make your own cholesterol anyway, as outlined in my video 10 Reasons You Need Cholesterol Part 1. But since the brain is just 2% of your body weight and yet contains 25% of your cholesterol, it should come as no surprise that increased cholesterol levels are associated with a reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease and improved memory in old age. The brain's need for lipids may explain why low-fat dairy produce but not high-fat dairy produce is associated with an increased risk of Parkinson's disease. Coconut oil may be beneficial for Alzheimer's disease since the saturated medium-chain fatty acids are readily converted to ketones, and ketones provide an alternative fuel source for neurons which have become insulin resistant and thus cannot utilise glucose efficiently. The fact that Alzheimer's has been dubbed type 3 diabetes should make us wonder if the current epidemic of Alzheimer's disease coincides with increased carbohydrate intake due to the low-fat diet, which would be making the neurons insulin resistant. Coconut oil is also a source of phenolic compounds that may prevent the formation of the amyloid beta plaque, which is one of the hallmarks of a brain with Alzheimer's disease, though it's not necessarily true that this plaque actually causes Alzheimer's disease. Fats are in fact vital for cell membranes, which allows cells to specialise, and thus fats are foundational for multicellular life. Lipids make up around 50% of your cell membranes, and phospholipids are considered the fundamental building blocks of your cell membranes. The lipids in your cell membranes allow for effective communication between cells and for the transport of proteins, lipids, neurotransmitters and hormones into and out of the cells. So you can see how lipids are vital for brain health and for all of your cell membranes, but fatty foods also provide us with essential micronutrients and polyphenols. So a lower fat diet is more likely to be lower in calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, vitamin B1, B2, B3, B12 and E. The olive oil that is central to the Mediterranean diet is beneficial for heart disease and certain cancers, not just because of its high monounsaturated fat content, but also because of its phenolic compounds and antioxidants that prevent it from spoiling when heated. A good quality olive oil will even retain most of its nutritional value upon being heated. Extra virgin olive oil can also be helpful for weight loss. Now, it's the bitter and pungent qualities of the olive oil that reflect its phenolic content, which should remind you that hormesis is at play here, as described in my recent videos on hormesis. So choose the more bitter and pungent extra virgin olive oil rather than the more refined olive oils for maximum benefit. Nuts are a high-fat food that provide many beneficial polyphenols, minerals, fibre, vitamin E and arginine, which helps to reduce blood pressure and hence heart disease risk. And frequent nut consumption is associated with reduced obesity. So fatty foods also come with an array of fat-soluble micronutrients such as vitamin A, vitamin K2, vitamin E and CoQ10. Including fats and oils with your meals increases the absorption of many fat-soluble micronutrients such as vitamins A, K1, K2, vitamin E, CoQ10 and the carotenoids including lycopene and the provitamin A carotenoids. And fat promotes the conversion of provitamin A into vitamin A. Vitamin K2, for example, makes sure that calcium gets to your bones rather than being deposited in your arteries, and thus benefits both bone health and heart health, as well as being good for cancer and having a role in cognitive function and improving insulin sensitivity. Adding an avocado to your meal increases the absorption of the carotenoid lutein sevenfold, and this may help protect your eyes against blue light, as I explained in a previous video. Lutein can also improve cognitive function, being the most predominant carotenoid in the brain, and it protects your skin from ultraviolet radiation and may reduce the risk of heart disease. Vitamin D is actually made from the cholesterol precursor 7-dehydrocholesterol, with the action of ultraviolet B radiation from sunlight on your skin. This study even found that the heart protective benefits of eating fruit and vegetables were only realised when combined with choosing high fat rather than low fat dairy produce, though we don't know if this is due to the actual combination of these foods at the same meals increasing micronutrient absorption, or due to other negative effects of choosing low fat dairy counteracting the benefits of increased fruit and vegetable intake. In fact, I want to be clear that the correlation of low-fat dairy produce with increased heart disease risk markers does not prove that low-fat dairy produce causes heart disease. It may be, however, that people who choose low-fat are generally trying to be healthy, though the choice to eat low-fat is misinformed, so they are likely to also be making other dietary and lifestyle choices that are generally seen as healthy. This could hide some of the possibly negative effect of choosing low-fat options, although some of their other choices might also be misguided. In this video, I have outlined the importance of essential and conditionally essential fatty acids and the importance of lipids for your brain and for cell membranes, which allowed for our evolution as multicellular organisms and as organisms whose brain development led to distinct survival advantages. I also outlined some essential micronutrients and polyphenols that are found in fatty foods and described how fats and oils can increase the absorption of certain key micronutrients. In the next part of the series, I will focus more on saturated fat. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video.